Mandos, this is the way. Hello and welcome to the show. This is Mando's Banter Boxes 8. I'm your host, Mandalorian, the X-Wing Jesus. And with me today, we've got C3 Barlow, the human-cyborg relation of a protocol droid.
Hey. Howdy do.
All right, man?
Yeah.
Good. Right, and then we've got Ham Solo, smuggler of quality meat products.
Evening all.
Hey, right. So today's show, if you haven't guessed by what Ham's background, we're talking all about droids. And we'll bring up the elephant in the room and we'll start talking about Star Wars droids. Obviously, we're not doing the whole show on that, but since he's got the background, we'll talk about it to start with.
All right.
Go for it, Ham.
It was awful.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that, because it was pretty poor. I remember that being pretty poor.
It was classic Saturday morning TV fodder from, 35 years ago. It was, yeah, another class. Well, we'll come on to it more later, but it's a classic tie-in to make a bit of cash. So, I can't say that I can remember anything about it apart from the fact that it existed. And I think they tried to do sort of like what happened before Star Wars, before the prequels existed. And it didn't really play very well. Definitely not canon nowadays, I'd imagine.
I think they tried to have their own bad guy in there as well. I think he was a evil Empire bad guy, from what I was reading when I did my villains. I'd say, yeah. It wasn't very good. I wouldn't recommend watching it, but it was still better than the original holiday special.
Still probably better than the last Skywalker, but anyway.
Right. Okay. So we're talking droids today. Now, in Star Wars, in the Star Wars universe, there are 5 classes of droid, and I'll quickly go through them. So, Class 1. I'm reading this off a screen, by the way. Class 1 droids worked in the fields of mathematics, physics, physical sciences, and medicine. So in that lot, we've got 2-1B, probably protocol droids, are they? I don't know. What do you guys reckon there? Yay or nay?
Is that the one with the fake gas mask that helps out with medical?
Yeah.
And
we'll get to him later as well. So then we've got Class 2. We have Class 2 droids are the astromechs, exploration droids, environmental droids, and engineering droids. So there we go, R2, Chopper, all of those, they're Class 2s. And maintenance droids as well. So Class 3 droids are servants, tutors, and childcare droids. I don't think we've seen any of them, have we?
Yes, we have.
Have we?
We've seen one recently in The Mandalorian. He does that episode where he's in the school. So you got a C3 protocol droid teaching a room full of school kids.
And IG-11 gets reprogrammed as one as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's what they had in mind.
The nanny bot,
It became so Class 4 droids are programmed to fight. So these are security droids, gladiator droids, battle droids, assassination droids.
That's your IG-11, mate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure IG-88 and IG-11 were all in there as Banter droids.
Yeah, I suppose you could write on nanny droid at the bottom in crayon or something like that, because technically speaking, it's the same thing nowadays.
That's it. And then the last class is Class 5, general labour droids, labour specialists, and hazard service droids. So that's the 5 types apparently. So I've done with my list now. There, I've got my list in front of me.
You've missed a type.
Have I?
Yeah, type 6. Obvious merchandise. So your BB-8s and your DOs come out with remote control things you can run from your phone. I mean, honestly, that's classic merchandise as far as the Star Wars Galaxy is concerned. So, maybe just nudge those ones in as well.
Yeah. Did you see how BB-8 came into existence?
Yes, I did.
So for all those people who don't know how BB-8 came into existence, in the first film, where R2 is aboard the Death Star and he integrates into the Death Star. Their love child actually produced BB-8. That's the only bit I think. I suppose there's quite a lot of robotic sex if you had that and then put that in the mix of things.
Nice.
I can resist it. It's just messing around.
That's what she said. Anyway.
So the first two droids we ever meet are R2D2 and C3PO, and everybody knows I love R2D2. I think he's a superb hero in the whole chapter of everything. You had some extra bits to add to why you don't think why should be number one.
He's just not being funny. He's been around for all this time, right? At no stage has anyone said, let's flush his memory banks. And yet, strangely, he doesn't he's not very helpful when it comes to, oh, look, Yoda, I recognise Yoda. Hey, here's Yoda, Luke.
I'm afraid you're wrong. I'm afraid Cad Bane wipe his memory.
Okay. When did Bane wipe his memory?
Partially wiped it.
When did he wipe it?
Episode. Huh?
When did he wipe it?
He's in the Clone Wars cartoon.
Right. Okay. So are you saying for the rest of the Clone Wars, after he got wiped, he didn't see Yoda, or he didn't hang out with like Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, or Obi-Wan Kenobi? Highly so.
Against his programming.
What you mean? You mean that he's a hero because he's being polite and not sort of like saying, "I know you from 30 years ago" or whatever.
They did have a fight, didn't they? So maybe they were like, "I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you."
That's the worst possible case, the worst possible time to bring that up as well. Yeah, I don't think R2 has the same sort of. He called it his sister-in-law something at a wedding kind of thing that you would expect to not talk to someone for that length of time, especially since there's lives on the line.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's really nice in the Clone Wars. Anakin's told off by the Council because he has never wiped his mind. Because he holds all this tactical information and gets captured, and they're like, "What? You mean he never wiped it? Why have you never wiped it? He's an asset. I don't want to wipe him."
But at least they raised the question there to say, "Hang on a minute." They kind of took the mickey out of themselves there, haven't they?
Yeah, but that's even worse because that's actually saying he's not a hero. He's a complete idiot because he's just conveniently forgetting stuff. Yeah, it's like no. Anyway, but I digress. Also, on the subject of R2D2, where the hell did his rocket boosters go?
He ran out of fuel for them.
No, that doesn't make any sense. Look, all the way through the prequels, all the way through the Clone Wars, he's got super rocket boosters, and then suddenly he doesn't. That's really inconvenient.
Maybe he was fixed, and they didn't have them parts anymore. They got damaged. Maybe
during the original trilogy, they didn't want to spend money on CGI that they couldn't do in the 70s, and therefore he was very much on wheels.
Did he actually need them?
Yeah, he's never needed them in the original trilogy.
I don't know. I think on Bespin, I think he would have been probably quite happy to.
There's no stairs. We never see him climbing stairs or anything. So.
No. Dagobah, he was stuck in a swamp on Dagobah. He could have jetted out of that, no problem. Just saying.
Got spat out, didn't he? That was all.
Yeah, it's almost like they're making this up as they go along. Who knew?
Well, out of order, man. He's dissing it massively there. But the weird thing we see with I think all the Star Wars droids is that they have some sort of element of free will, even though R2's been fitted with a restraining bolt for the Emperor for Jabba's sail barge and things like that. He's still able to do what he wants, basically, and they're not like the robots that we know that they just do something and that's it. They actually go off and start doing other stuff. Like 3PO, he's just meant to be an interpreter, but he's giving his opinion of everything all the time. So it's a bit odd. And then you've got droids like Chopper, who's a naughty droid, and you're like, what's
I love
that
Chopper.
about? So there are ones we'll meet along the way. We'll discuss, and we'll see that that element of sort of weird sentient programming that they've all got is. I know it adds to the character of the film and stuff, but it's quite hard to wrap your head around why a droid comes up with ideas and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
The L3 character from Solo is a great example of that. She inspires a robot rebellion.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But then at the same time, she actually sort of falls in love with Lando as well, and Lando's in love with her. What's that all about?
Yeah.
It's like, what? And she even discusses that with Kira, going,
It'll never work.
It's just like, it's not going to work. But like you say, it inspires a robot rebellion. That is just it's just weird. And it's quite unique in sci-fi, I think, for droids or robots to do that sort of thing. I know it's not really sci-fi, is it? It's a Western adventure or whatever, but it's set in science fiction sort of setting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So 3PO as well. 3PO never really does anything for me.
Nice.
I think it's one of the saddest stories in Star Wars, right? You've got Anakin Skywalker, young farm boy or slave boy on a desert planet. He builds C-3PO out of bits and bobs with his own fair hands, right? And basically does his best to ignore him pretty much after that event. Here you go, Padme, why don't you have this? Look after that. Here you go, happy days. So, he offloads him as quick as humanly possible, which kind of gives you some indication of how utterly annoying he must be.
But he's
and yet Padme being the saint sticks with him the whole way through, so there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah. I thought the best bit of 3PO is where he gets used as a backpack in Empire Strikes Back.
And even then he's grumbling.
Best bits. He's little, Chewie's playing with him, trying to put him together, and puts the head on the wrong way around. Stuff like that. I thought it was really good. And it was actually more useful like that than he was walking around. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we definitely, again, I had the little toy of the little plastic backpack you could stick on Chewbacca with the bit, and that was annoying at the time because the bits of C-3PO would just fall out of that pack all over the place. We were running with Chewbacca plastic figures, bits of C-3PO dropping all over the carpet. Never good. They got that right, though.
It just wasn't a good idea for a figure, was it? A figure where the arms and the legs purposefully come off. You're like, that was never going to work, was it? It's awkward.
Oh, dear. All the memories.
Yeah, so going on from R2 and C-3PO, we've got Chopper. I thought was awesome, man. I know he was just like all the time, and he was a real pain in the backside. Sometimes he's a hindrance to them because he's gone off and doing his own thing. Oh, there's a spare leg over there. I want to go and have a look at that spare leg on the market.
Don't go get that leg. Okay, I'll go get it.
Yeah, and you're like, and they're all going right. Where's Chopper? Oh, he's over there. Oh, we need to go. So
he isn't
really good. I really enjoyed that. He's that character in Rebels. I thought he was awesome.
Oh yeah, he's a naughty adolescent. He just does whatever he wants. Even his beeps have got attitude to them. When you're asking a teenager to do something, and the way that they answer, that's exactly how it sounds.
Yeah. The arms as well. I think the arms coming out of his helmet was brilliant. It was like he's just driving off all the time. It's so cool. And
it's funny you called him a teenager there. I actually think probably speak younger people here wouldn't know what the hell I'm talking about, but like the older bloke in Steptoe and Son, he got
the old man,
he's a grumpy old bop.
Yeah, that's what I thought of it. Yeah. So keeping on the light side of everything, we've also got BB-8. So we lightly touched on BB-8, and I thought that was a quite good evolution of the astromech, that you would actually have the whole body rotating with the head on the top. thought that was
Hmm.
really clever.
I think it's a stupid idea. Because if you get any muck on it, you'll have that in your carpet for weeks.
It was
I mean, just honestly,
great design though. Really, really good design. You know, go from
Oh yeah.
"Oh, I need legs" to no, I don't need legs. You just have the whole thing rotating with the head on the top. It was great.
not convinced. But then, like I say, I mean, I'm a dog owner, so I know what kind of muck, how hard it is to get that stuff out of the carpet in the first place. So, you know, you don't want to get that droid covered in anything. And if you're going to be in an environment that's covered in oil and fuel and stuff, probably not the best idea.
You got an old man today. You turned into Chopper incarnate. You're channeling the spirit of Chopper.
I've always kind of loved in the movies how deep the connections between the droid and the owner is. It's like that is the real relationship in every movie. We had it with Lee and Lando, Poe and BB-8. How happy he was to see him alive. You get that with R2 throughout it all, with Anakin and Luke. So that they do become the movie almost. It's I mean, especially these late ones.
Yeah, no one's pleased to see C-3PO though. So, you know,
Yeah,
not doing himself any favours.
They kind of try to pull on your heartstrings with that whole scene at the end of Rise of Skywalker, with him potentially losing his memory forever. You know, looking at my friends for one last time.
Yeah, but they're all like, oh yeah, whatever.
You're so brave, C-3PO.
Yeah.
Can you press go now? You're so brave. If it had done it to R2-D2, it'd have made a hell of a different scene. Just saying.
Yeah. But it kind of shows also how naive he is about how annoying he has no realization of how annoying he is.
Yeah.
They're my friends, and they're looking at him going, yeah, all right, steady on now. By the way, the floor still needs cleaning if you're free.
Yeah, but the whole way through the first 3 films, Han is just get out of the way, shut up.
Yeah.
Puts his hand over his mouth, just shut up. Get out.
Yeah, he's a visionary. That man, a visionary. It's the first time that's actually happened.
At least there is a power switch with him.
Yeah.
Switch him off.
Yeah. Funny that he's the only droid I can remember seeing having that power switch on and off. I can't think why they installed it.
I'll tell you, the weird thing is, apart from the Dark Troopers, I don't think we see any droids charging themselves up, do we? They never say, oh yeah, he's gone to charge himself.
You've got Dagobah. R2's being charged up on that.
Is he? Damn.
Yeah.
The camping gas stove.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, I think it's in the original Star Wars, you know, they're like 3PO's having an oil bath, and I think they was doing some work on R2. I kind of got the impression they were going to give him a quick cycle after that, but maybe that's my imagination. You do see C-3PO voluntarily turn himself off at Ben's house as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he decides to power down. Yeah.
Yes, kind of the only time it ever happened.
These are amazing batteries, though. I mean, you've got Clone Wars episodes where they're traveling across desert planets. No battery's fine there.
Yeah, no solar panel either, and that would be a real boot in that kind of weather.
Well, this is where the Jawas come in, you see, because they go, well, there's a dodgy one just going through the desert. We'll have that. But
exactly.
That's a weird living to make, isn't it? A Jawa in the desert. Oh look, there's a random robot. We'll have that. They just have anything. It's like they go, it's a robot coming. We'll hide in this cave, and then we'll jump out and surprise him. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. It's weird.
Do you remember the scenes in Jabba's palace where they're actually torturing the droids? They're putting the hot coals on their feet and the little droids screaming.
Yeah, that was really dark though, weren't it?
It's also really weird because look, wouldn't a droid say, actually, do you know what, I'm going to just turn off my pain receptors? Oh, dearie me, it hurts. I just thought that would make more sense as a droid.
Why would it have pain? Who designed it with pain receptors?
Exactly.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Oh, isn't it? Like,
I tell you, the biggest question I've always had about the droids is their names or numbers or whatever you want to call them, their serial numbers, right? Now, there are lots of droids in the universe, lots and lots and lots of droids in the universe, right? But you're thinking R2D2, that's only 4 characters.
Mhm.
That's pretty small. I mean, how do you name an entire armada of droids?
Maybe
4 digits.
every one of them that came out, R2D2
Yeah.
was called R2D2. There was a blue astromech.
But it's not, because, makes no sense. I think
R2D2.
I think what is more likely the case is the fact that we're only seeing the good-looking code-named ones, and there's probably R7, 8, 12, 14, 25 for D7, 4, 3, 2 around the other side of the planet. No one's going to talk to him because they can't even say it, mate.
There you go. That's probably why he was in the royal court, because he had a very catchy name.
Well, like it's like
it's like registration plates in this country.
Exactly.
Oh, I want X-wing Caesars on a number plate. You pay a lot for that, because that makes sense. Whereas your R2D2, they go, oh, we've got this model, special edition. His name is R2D2. Oh, we'll have that one. That's quite catchy, rather than XYV7841.
Yeah, I mean, how much would they pay for 8008S? But anyway, yeah. Also, like you say, he was hanging around the royal palace. He was in the royal ship, so maybe all the rich people get fancy ones, and all the paupers just get sort of like gonk droids.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory, isn't it?
Yeah.
All your battle droids, they all had individual serial numbers as well. When you look at Wikipedia, they all had individual serial numbers. When you start looking, you go, what's that one? Oh, that was a droid on somewhere. What's that one? That was a droid next to the other droid. What's that one? That was another one.
Someone out there is doing God's work trying to work that out.
But I mean,
that's a lot of effort.
You had the whole droid faction. So you had all the, like on my screen behind me, the big production line are all going Roger, Roger and all that. And that they appear through Rebels as well. Little splinter factions of them all going off. And did some of them work for the Empire and stuff like that? Got reprogrammed or something as cheap labour in the base? Some of the
wouldn't
base,
surprise me,
stuff like that.
Especially out in the outer rim or the poorer areas, getting the bits and pieces for cheap.
Yeah, so like we're doing a program on droids. There's a whole faction there of droids. You've got the droid Decker, the B2 battle droids. They're the big silver ones. Droid commandos. They're in Clone Wars, and they've got the shields and that and stuff like that, infiltrating bases and things. Battle droids, done them. And then you've got General Grievous and his Magna Guard. So
is he a droid though? Is he just a cyborg?
Yeah, it's kind of
he's a brain in a box, isn't he?
Yeah. Well,
so not really a droid. But you just to mention him because you get the lightsabers. You like the lightsabers. Here's the food blender with the best PR.
Yeah, we all like lightsabers. But at what point does a being become a droid? Because Vader was very mechanical as well, wasn't he? And even Luke has a mechanical hand. So you could argue that they're cyborgs. Oh, that's a whole other show. Cyborgs.
You could argue the way that Anakin was acted was pretty mechanical all the way through, but that's another story.
Definitely. So that's quite an interesting one there. But then we've got 2 IGs that we've seen on film. So we've got IG-88, which is actually 4 different droids, A, B, C, and D. I briefly went through them on my last Mando's number 5 with the Bounty Hunters. I talked about all that on there, so I'm not going to repeat it again. But if you want to hear more about that, you want to watch that video instead. But yeah, that was quite good, because that's weird how that was another prop. He was originally his head was a prop in the cantina in A New Hope.
Yeah.
And it the head that bounty hunter. So it's odd when they actually come onto screen.
I mean, when we see IG-11 on Mandalorian, the way they move, the way that they attack, their multiple eyes going in different directions, the joints, it's an amazing piece of engineering. If they, it did exist,
that was stunning, and that's one of the things Hal said to me straight away about when he first saw it. He was like, "Wow, that that was cool. He's going like that, and
Yeah, definitely.
so cool. And then the protocols here, he's programmed and goes, right, looks like I'm going to die here, so I'm just going to blow myself up multiple times. You go, no, don't do that. You know, I'll persuade you, get around your programming and make some logical sense around that. And that whole episode was stunning, and I think they really thought about how a droid would work, especially say like a bounty hunter or an assassination droid. That technology and that programming would be a little bit more special, and would have to, you know, the makers would try and protect that.
Definitely, yeah.
Be really well thought. Then we've got, let's have a look through here. So we briefly touched on IG-88. Now we've got, this is another one made up of spare parts from other films. Forlon. So he's basically, for the film, in that scene again, they basically got a load of 3PO parts, resprayed them, and then put a different head on him. So the bounty hunter Forlon with his buddy, the Gand Zuckus. And that, he was pretty, I remember having the little figure and thinking, that is just 3PO with a different head, even as a kid. You know, not in the film, but, you know, when you got the toy and they're going, there's 3PO, there's Forlon. It's the same figure. You know?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Except he could hold a gun and 3PO couldn't because he had flat hands.
Yes. But yeah, Forlon famously broke his programming so he could do whatever he wanted. But like we've already seen, droids basically do what they want anyway, by the sounds of it. Yeah.
Got to admire someone who thinks that it's a step up to hang out with a giant beetle as opposed to sort of like sit on a beach somewhere.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how bad.
Go
Sorry, you go. I was just going to say, it just shows you how bad a mechanic Anakin actually is when C-3PO walks all awkwardly, but yet that model can be a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And fight.
Yeah.
Well, no, we never see how good a bounty hunter he is. So he could be the next scene he gets blown to a million pieces.
From what I've read, like his whole thing was he's able to calculate what their prey is going to do next. But the thing is, when they went after Han Solo, I actually called him Han. When he went after Han Solo, Han was unpredictable and so got the upper hand all the time against him and Zuckus. So it didn't really work for him there. And then obviously Boba Fett came along and went, gotcha. Right. So
it all comes back to Boba Fett, doesn't it? Always comes back to Boba Fett.
It does indeed. Right. So we've also got, when we're talking about assassination droids, we've got the HK droids from Knights of the Old Republic. They were quite formidable on there, very deadly. And of course, the biggest ones that we see are, you know, when we come to being deadly, are the Dark Troopers. But again, the Mandalorian, as good as it's been, they built those Dark Troopers up as being really, really hardcore and unstoppable. And we don't really get to see that much. That was a little bit disappointing that we did. All right, they briefly fight the Mandalorian, you know, Din Djarin, but then we don't get to see how deadly they can be. We've got all those heroes on that ship. None of them are incapacitated by the Dark Troopers or anything. And Luke pops up and dispatches them all just like that. Which is kind of I thought that was a bit disappointing, because I wanted to be able to see what these Dark Troopers could be. I thought maybe we may have seen a character get killed off in that final episode. I wonder.
Well, if it's any consolation, that seems to have happened anyway. But that's more because she's ran her mouth off rather than being killed by a Dark Trooper.
They missed an opportunity there, didn't they?
No, they missed a trick. But anyway, what can you do?
Yeah. So I was quite interested to see who would be the casualty, because I felt that it kind of needed one in that last episode at the hands of the Dark Troopers. You know, who they've got rid of. Maybe it would have been the other Mandalorian who's just gone along with them, whatever her name is.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Brown Owl or something like that?
Brown Owl, that's a brownie leader, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know what that one's name is. So, I mean, the wrestler.
The wrestler, that's probably a good
code. Yeah.
The wrestler. And
Tasha, was it Sasha Banks or something like that? I can't remember. I'm not a wrestling fan.
I don't know.
No, I don't.
There we go. That's another story. So then we move to probe droids. I think we've already discussed probe droids in a previous incarnation, but one we haven't done. There's an Imperial version of 3PO as well, and it's the RA-7 protocol droid. It's a silver sort of one. We see him in Rebels where he turns. They managed to turn him for a couple of episodes. And he
AP5.
AP5, it was just a droid.
AP5, it was that one, right?
That was the one from Rebels. You also see a protocol droid in Phantom Menace, don't you? Coming out of taking the drinks to the Jedi.
Ah, right.
The silver one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
you see him wandering around the halls of the Death Star as well, just chilling out, doing protocol things.
Exactly. And what else is running around the Death Star?
The mouse droids.
Yeah. So I always thought they were really cool.
They are very cool.
What are they doing?
I think they're just like sending messages and stuff. Maybe they're
like a little cool.
You know those tubes. You know those tubes that people have in their lapel in the Imperial officers. Those tubes. There's a hatch in those mouse droids. You stick those tubes in. They're kind of like a fax system in the 1970s.
Like the
before they invented the internet, wasn't it? So they had to basically make do with passing these tubes back and forward using remote control mouses.
Yes.
Carrier pigeons without the mess.
Yeah,
that's probably a better description. A carrier pigeon. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, but I always thought they were really cool. And it gets under Chewie's feet, don't it, or something like that.
He just goes
and then runs away. He growls at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So on my other list, so the big one I've left off is K2SO. So
there you go.
Imperials. K2SO I thought was phenomenal in there, and there's actually an outtake in Rogue One that they leave in, and it's where he clouts Cassian round the head. He just goes like that, goes dumph. That's actually an outtake they actually left in and went, well, we'll run with that because that was pretty cool. So I just thought the whole thing was really good there. He was talking really inappropriate at times and giving the game away with bits and bobs. It was really good. I'd be interested.
Yeah, he won't give me a gun.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, what sort of happens. There's rumours there that K2SO is not even in the first series of Andor, which is quite shocking. But who knows?
But maybe they can't afford. Maybe they can't afford Alan Tudyk again.
But he's rumoured to be in it. So there's another strange one. Rumours on the internet don't really pan out, and we're better off just waiting and watching the episodes themselves.
I know.
So so we've got a load of menial droids to go through. Just quick ones. 2-1B, we talked about him at the beginning. He's the medical droid that fixes Luke up twice in Empire Strikes Back. I said that very high. Twice.
Twice, I tell you.
I don't know why I did that, but he fixes Luke up in the Bacta tank. When he rescued on Hoth, and then he gives him a mechanical hand, don't he?
Mm-hmm.
Very
quite useful. Not a lot of dialogue, and I think that was just a prop. I think because he basically I think somebody's just lifting his arm up like that, and then he does a bit of a head turn, and that's round about it, isn't it? There's not really much going on there, is there, in the film? But
ruining magic.
It's quite funny. The medical droids don't seem to be very clever. You've got the medical droid that's delivering Luke and Leia in the Revenge of the Sith, and you can't even tell what sex they are. She has to ask, "What sex it is? What sex it is?"
Is that the Polish droid?
Yeah.
Oh dear, cracks me up. Right, so we've got a couple of others. Dio is another. I quite like Dio in the sequels. It was all right. Didn't really. It just it was there as he says. There is the 6th class, and that is the merch class. The merch. But it was a good little robot. Good imagination to come up with that design again. So
I mean, how his experiences have affected him. You know, he's obviously suffering from PTSD or something. Which bringing that onto a droid again, it adds more emotion into the droids than it does the other characters.
Yeah, exactly right there. So that's
but effectively, it was useful for one scene. That's the annoying thing. Whether or not you didn't get a chance to get to know him, or hang out with him, or any of that stuff you did with even BB-8, who's only in it for a fairly short time in a few films. He just rocks up, says, "Oh, I know something," and that's it, done.
Yeah. Mm. So then we had pit droids. I thought that was really cool. Just donk them on the head and they go.
Larry, Mo, and Curly, is it?
Yeah, that's the ones. I thought they were really good. Buzz droids were another one. They were quite popular. I think there's quite a few people that we know keep banging on about buzz droids and that in X-Wing. So we've got the interrogator droid that interrogates Leia. That isn't just something they bring in and push a button and prod. That is an actual interrogator droid on the Death Star.
It doesn't seem to talk much though, does it? So how is it interrogating? Here's a giant needle. Hold still. Oh, you moved. Oh no. Hold still. Oh, you moved.
Right,
hold still. Oh, you moved.
We're coming to the end of the show. I've got a couple of others. We've got the Wed Treadwell repair droid. So it's like a spider on legs on on a track that comes in. It's like that's in the first film. It's the gayest robot in the.
Yeah.
Might have to cut that bit out. And then we've got the most famous one is the Gonk droid.
Yeah, Gonk.
That's it, exactly. There we go. That's our roundup of droids. I know if we've missed any, please comment and tell us what we've missed off. Not every astromech, because we're just plumbing that in with the astromechs. But for now, on the time being, thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with our buffoonery. And this is the way.
Mando.